What is going on, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you how to change your foot brake pads on your P32 handbrake. P32 foot brake, I should say. I was trying to find a video. I couldn't really find a good one. I saw a video of how you take it apart, but it didn't really go into explanation, so I figured I'd try to do a better video and help some guys out. So I tried, removing the pads, take them all the way out, put the new pads back in, and I couldn't get the caliper to go all the way back into place. So what I did was just bolt the caliper back on like this, pretty tight so it doesn't wiggle, and then I loosened the bleeder bolt. It shot fluid everywhere, especially when I pushed the slider pins all the way back in. But now that I got those slider pins back in, I went ahead and tightened that bolt, but that does mean you're gonna have to bleed the brakes again. And a good buddy of mine showed me how you can bleed them without even a second person, but 2 people helps. So if you have a second person, highly recommend it. Well, let's go ahead and figure out how to put these brake pads in and show you the next step. So step number 2. Well, I got the brake pads in, so basically I just slid them down and held them in at the bottom with my 2 fingers. And then you start to put this metal bracket in from the top. Once you get the metal bracket in, push down with your thumbs real hard right here. Make sure the brake pads are above the bar right there, and the bar goes above the metal bracket, in between the brake pads, all the way through the back there. I already did this once. Make sure you got yourself a good can of brake cleaner, parts cleaner. Make sure you don't get brake fluid residue all over the place when you're done with it. One thing I just realized, I almost did that backwards. Make sure you put that pin in from the side that says Brembo on the bracket. The big clear part. Make sure it's on the front side. That way when you go to put it back on the bike, it's facing towards the inner side of the wheel, the other end of the pin is. Here's something you don't have to do, but I'm going to do it because I'm running a whole new set of brake fluid through this Brembo. I'm going to spray a bunch of air through this line and blow it all out into the oil pan there. Just so when I'm putting the fresh fluid in there, it's all nice and new, clean fluid. Doing this video alone, so I can't really film me doing this, but basically don't put any pressure on the blade. Make sure that bleeder bolt's open in there and shove air right where your reservoir goes. And after I sprayed air through there once, I was going to go ahead and prime the brakes once or twice, get new fluid through there, and then go ahead and blow it all out again. That way I can just make sure I got all the new fluid in there and none of that old stuff, and make sure there's no dirt and grime left over. And I got a little bit of a bad setup and don't want to spend the $4 or $5 to get a new reservoir on the bike, and I just had a screwdriver sticking in once I bleed the brake, so I just stick a hose in there, make sure there's good pressure in there, block that line off, and good to go. I want to run that today so I can ride again, but I'm going to order one of those tonight just so I can make sure the bike's all good to go this summer. But with that being said, let's go ahead, bleed these brakes, and get to riding. So when you're bleeding these brakes, you're gonna have a wrench that goes on your bleeder bolt here, and then I have a clear silicone line that comes off of it and goes into a bucket. That way you don't spray brake fluid everywhere. I can't talk today. But what you do is you pump right here, give it about 4 or 5 good pumps, and you hold, and you come back over here and you loosen that bolt. And then you tighten it again, you come back over here, pump 4 or 5 times, you hold, come over here, loosen that, tighten it again. Make sure you do not pump and then let off and loosen, because that just puts air right back into the system. You have to pump, hold, loosen, tighten, and then release. And if you guys are doing your monoblock, you have to make sure that this is at 12 o'clock. So with this being set up the way it is, I actually have to pull the monoblock off, flip it upside down. That way the bleeder bolt's sitting straight up in the air, and then you can bleed it. But make sure you have something in between your brake pads so you don't seize the caliper shut on top of the brake pads. You have to, I used a screwdriver. I don't know if you guys have any other ideas or suggestions you can drop in the comments, but you do not want to seize your brake pads together because it is a pain to get them apart. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. And while I'm here, let me go ahead and show you the setup. See, most of you guys have a brake reservoir right here holding brake fluid. Well, I just make sure there's brake fluid in the line, good and primed, and it lasts the whole set of brake pads the last time. But I'm definitely going to get a reservoir for this, just in case, because I don't want to risk my life over something so stupid. Literally $5 or $6 I bet on Amazon.